Okay, so let's unpack this. We have something really interesting on the table today. A voice note. And it's not just any voice note. It's raw, it's honest, and, it's quite frankly the perfect launchpad for what we need to talk about.
It really is.
Because this isn't just a recap of a random Tuesday. This feels more like a diagnostic scan of a human system right before a massive reboot.
Oh, that's a great way to put it. And to the listener, to Greg, who is listening to this right now, this isn't just about us analyzing why you ate the sugar or why the rain kept you inside. We need to go much, much deeper.
Right.
This is all about calibration, because looking at this stack of documents in front of us, especially the Greg 3.1 curriculum and the Transurfing roadmap, tomorrow isn't just another Wednesday.
No, tomorrow's day one.
Tomorrow's day one.
The stakes are, they feel incredibly high here. We're talking about day one, awakening. So the mission for this deep dive is, I think, pretty specific. We're going to take that voice note you recorded, the wins, the losses, the distractions, all of it, that whole mixed bag, and we're going to run it through this massive stack of wisdom you've put together for yourself.
It's quite a stack.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, we've got the Daily Stoic here, so we have Seneca and Marcus Aurelius. We've got this very practical behavior ops manual. Then there's the identity work for future Greg.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's this incredibly dense, fascinating manual on transurfing in 78 days.
It's such a powerful combination. And, usually you see these things in their own little silos.
Totally separate.
You've got the ancient grounding of Stoicism over here, which can feel very like grit your teeth and get through it.
Right.
And then you have the metaphysical reality bending stuff from transurfing over there, which is all about flow with the universe. They seem like they'd be at odds.
They really do.
But the Greg 3.1 protocol, it forces them together. It makes them talk to each other. It operationalizes them using the behavior ops and the looper protocols. And the goal for us today is simple. We need to use today's stumble to set the option A protocol for tomorrow's awakening.
Okay, let's do it. Let's jump right into the voice note. Greg starts off with a clear win. He says, quote, "I woke up before my alarm," which was awesome.
That is awesome. And we should not gloss over that. In the future Greg's source material, there's this heavy, heavy emphasis on the idea that if you win the morning, you win the day. But I want to challenge the sort of surface level reading of that. It's not just about productivity or, getting a head start on your email.
Right. It's not just about the hustle culture thing of getting up before the sun.
Yeah.
In the protocol, it's the 5.55 reset, correct?
Precisely. The Greg 3.1 protocol isn't just wake up early. It's specific. It's waking up at 5:55 a.m. and there's a whole ritual attached to it.
Okay.
You don't just roll out of bed, scratch your head, and immediately check your phone to see what the world wants from you.
Which is what most of us do.
It's what most people do. Instead, you put on the totem, which in this case the documents say are the glasses or the ring, and you ask a very specific question. What is the one thing I can do right now to create momentum?
Talk to me about the totem for a second. Because to a skeptic or, some just tuning in, that might sound a little superstitious, lucky charm or something. Why is a physical object so necessary for a mental reset?
It's all about anchoring the identity and doing it immediately. This comes from the alter ego work by Todd Herman, which you can see is referenced all over this stack.
Right.
The brain is associative. If you wake up and you're in your pajamas, stumbling around half asleep, your brain associates that with old Greg, the guy who might hit snooze, the guy who's groggy, the guy who bargains with himself about working out.
Okay, I see.
When you put on the totem, the glasses, the ring, whatever it is, it's a somatic trigger. It's like putting on a uniform. You are signaling to your entire nervous system, we are now online. We are now Greg 3.1.
So it's basically a hardware switch for the software you want to run.
That's the perfect analogy. Exactly. It's a distinct line in the sand between sleep mode and performance mode. And that's why waking up before the alarm is such a critical victory.
Okay.
It means the cortisol awakening response, the CAR, is already aligning with the intention. The subconscious is already prepping to run the Greg 3.1 operating system. He didn't have to be dragged out of bed by a noise. His own biology woke him up because it was ready.
Love that.
But then we hit the turbulence.
The turbulence. And this is where the voice note gets really, really relatable. Let's talk about the weather. Greg says, the weather was bad, and it convinced us not to work out.
It convinced us. That phrasing is just fascinating, isn't it?
It really is. It gives the weather a voice.
Yeah.
It implies a negotiation happened.
It totally externalizes the agency. It treats the rain as an active participant in his decision-making process. It's almost like the rain, walked into the bedroom and started debating him. But let's pull up the Daily Stoic here, specifically the entry for September 10th. preparing on the sunny day. Seneca has this brilliant insight where he argues that fair weather is precisely when you should be building your defenses.
You build the roof when it's sunny, so you're dry when it rains.
Exactly. But the inverse is also true for the test. The weather didn't convince Greg of anything. The old identity convinced Greg, and it just used the weather as a convenient prop.
It's the path of least resistance. It's the easy out. But isn't there a valid argument to be made here? I mean, if it's pouring rain, practically speaking, going for a run outside is just miserable. Is Stoicism just about forcing yourself to be miserable all the time?
That's a really common misconception, a great question. Stoicism isn't about suffering for the sake of suffering. It's about non-consent to external circumstances dictating your internal state.
Okay, non-consent.
If we flip to the entry for March 18th, Impossible Without Your Consent, the Stoics are crystal clear on this. The crush of circumstances doesn't come from the rain outside. It comes from the assumption inside that says, rain means I can't train.
Ah, okay.
That's an internal agreement you made with your old self. The rain is just water falling from the sky. The story, I cannot train, is a narrative overlay you put on top of it. The Stoic would say, it is raining, I will get wet, I will train. The suffering comes from the resistance to the wetness, not the wetness itself.
And I want to bring in the behavior ops manual here because it has this concept I love called the kindergarten rule.
Oh, this is so good.
It's fantastic because it just strips away all that adult rationalization we love to do. It basically says a good rule of thumb is that if a kindergartner would not be able to fully understand a solution, then it's not the right solution.
It cuts through all the noise so effectively. It just removes the intellectual alibi.
It really does. You know, we act like we need these complex, multivariable reasons to skip things, but the manual just lists these basic rules. Be kind, brush your teeth, exercise. These are things we learn before we can even tie our own shoes.
And that's the trap of intelligence, right? Smart people, and Greg is obviously a very smart guy, just look at the complexity of this curriculum he built. We often try to negotiate with the basics. We think, well, I need a sophisticated workout plan, and the humidity is a bit off today, and my recovery metrics on my Whoop strap are suboptimal, and if I run in the rain, I might slip. No.
It's just noise.
It's all just noise. The behavior ops manual is saying, don't you dare worry about advanced strategies until you are absolutely brilliant on the basics. Skipping the workout because of rain, that is failing the kindergarten standard.
Wow.
A kindergartner knows you go out to recess unless it's literally lightning. And even then, you just play inside.
It's harsh, but it's true. A kindergartner knows you can do jumping jacks inside. Or push-ups in the living room.
Yeah.
Or anything.
Exactly. Intelligence so often becomes a lawyer for our own laziness. But here's the nuance, and I think this is really important, so we don't just, pile on the guilt. Greg's note says he did do something. He said, I was still able to do my 5 minutes of grounding and some light exercises.
So it wasn't a total zero. He didn't completely capsize the ship.
No, and that's a crucial distinction to make. It shows the new identity is already fighting back. It's there. But in the Greg 3.1 morning protocol, movement is non-negotiable for a very specific reason.
And why is that? It's not just for burning calories, right? This isn't about fat loss in this specific context.
Not at all. It's for the neurotransmitters. The future Greg source material talks about this a lot. You need that movement, that exertion to spark serotonin and norepinephrine. It's about bootloading the brain for the day.
Speaking of bootloading, let's look at the physiological side. The protocol mentions a morning drink. And it's not just coffee, is it? I think a lot of people would assume morning protocol just means caffeine immediately.
Oh, definitely not. In fact, coffee on an empty stomach is a major no-go in the Option A plan. The protocol specifically calls for warm cacao with heavy cream or maybe a warm herbal tea, and there's a very specific methylation stack involved homocysteine factors.
Okay, that sounds really intense. Can we break that down?
Yeah.
What is methylation in, plain English for the rest of us?
Yeah, of course. Think of methylation as the biochemical highway for your neurotransmitters. It's a process happening in every single cell of your body, billions of times a second.
Wow.
It's how your body repairs DNA, how it processes stress hormones, and crucially, it's how it makes things like dopamine and serotonin. If your methylation cycle is sluggish, your brain feels foggy, your mood is unstable, you're much more prone to anxiety.
Okay.
The stack Greg has listed here, these homocysteine factors, it's designed to grease those gears. It provides the raw materials, the methyl groups, to ensure the engine runs cleanly and efficiently.
So it's basically like putting high-octane fuel in a sports car before you start it.
Exactly. But here's the catch. that fuel works best with circulation. It's biohacking. It's treating your body like a high-performance machine rather than, a dumping ground for caffeine. If you skip the workout, you're missing the mechanical pump, the heart rate elevation, the blood flow that circulates these crucial nutrients effectively to the brain.
I see.
So even though Greg did the grounding, which, by the way, connects to the Day 60 connection principle of listening to the morning stars, which is beautiful, missing the heavy exertion left a real gap in the energy system.
He fueled the car, but he didn't rev the engine to circulate the oil.
Perfect. That's exactly it. Which might just explain what happened later in the day.
Mm-hmm. Let's move to that second part of the note.
Yeah.
Greg says, I was able to spend a good chunk of my day in the office, but still working on my plan of my daily routine and what my tasks are. But then he drops the hammer. Right now, I'm easily distracted.
Easily distracted. Okay. Now, if we look at the Transurfing manual, this is where it gets really, really interesting. This isn't just, oh, I have ADD. This isn't just, I need to focus more. This is a battle with what the text calls pendulums.
Okay, let's unpack pendulums. Because in the Transurfing text, this concept sounds almost sci-fi. It sounds like something out of The Matrix or a fantasy novel.
It does. It really does. But it's a metaphor for very real social and energetic structures. Vadim Zeland, the author, describes a pendulum as an energy informational entity.
Which sounds complicated.
It does, but think of it as a collective thought form. Politics is a pendulum. A sports team is a pendulum. A corporation is a pendulum. But also, simpler things like office drama or worrying about the economy can act like pendulums. They're these invisible structures that swing back and forth, and they need energy to keep swinging.
And then they get that energy from us. They feed on our energy.
Exactly. They feed on human thought energy, specifically charged energy. Fear, anxiety, irritation, excessive excitement, hatred, even adoration. The text says they act like leeches. When Greg says he's distracted from a transurfing perspective, what's happening is a pendulum has hooked him. It's provoking him to give it his attention.
So it doesn't even matter what the distraction is. The news, social media, an annoying email.
It doesn't matter at all. The function is the same, to siphon his energy.
The text uses this really creepy, but I have to say, perfect image of a clown.
Yes, the clown. It says, if you are tense, a clown appears to annoy you.
And I feel like we've all had days like that. You
Yeah.
know, you're running late for something, so of course the car in front of you drives 10 miles under the speed limit. That's the clown.
That's the clown.
You're trying to focus on a big project, and your neighbor decides that exact moment is the time to start drilling into the wall.
That is the pendulum feeding on your annoyance. The more you react, the more the clown jumps. The more you get frustrated at that slow car, the slower it goes, or you hit the next 3 red lights in a row. The more you click the tab to check the news that makes you angry, the more the algorithm feeds you angry news. Greg's distraction isn't just a lack of focus, it's a full-on pendulum battle. He's fighting the clown.
Okay.
And the first rule of transurfing is you cannot win the battle by fighting it. If you fight the pendulum, you are giving it exactly what it wants, your energy. You are literally pushing the swing, which just makes it swing back at you even harder.
So what do you do? I mean, if you can't fight the distraction, do you just give in? Do you just start doom scrolling and say, okay, I surrender?
No, because that's also feeding it. That's just being its puppet. You have to do something else. You have to drop importance.
Drop importance.
This is the core concept. And the daily Stoic entry for January 12th, the one path to serenity, aligns perfectly with this. It says, giving up all outside your sphere of choice. You have to realize the distraction is external. The clown is just dancing. You don't have to watch the show.
You just acknowledge it exists and you walk past it.
You become indifferent. You look through the pendulum.
The Greg 3.1 curriculum actually has a structural strategy for this in the work block section. It talks about CEO time from 9:00 to 9:30 a.m. Is this how we operationalize dropping importance?
Precisely. CEO time is where you set your own intention for the day. You decide what matters before the world tries to decide for you.
Right.
The CEO of a company doesn't walk in the door and immediately start answering customer support tickets. The CEO looks at the overall strategy. If you don't do that, you enter the day reactive. And a reactive mind is a playground for pendulums. It's an open buffet of energy for them.
And then from 9:30 to 11:30, the schedule calls for deep work. This is where the digital mayor is built. But what if the distraction hits during that deep work block? Because we all know that feeling. You sit down to do the important thing, and suddenly you have this overwhelming urge to check Slack or get a snack or look up some random fact that turns into a 2-hour Wikipedia rabbit hole.
The Future Greg material offers a technique for this called the mental retreat. It's basically a pattern interrupt. When that urge to click a new tab or check a notification hits, and that is the pendulum hooking you. You don't fight it with white-knuckled willpower at the keyboard. You step away, you physically move, you get up, you go get a glass of water, you breathe, you visualize the goal, you break the loop.
You starve the pendulum.
You deprive the pendulum of the frequency it's looking for. You essentially become boring to the pendulum, so it just leaves you alone to find someone else to bother.
It sounds like Greg got caught in that loop today. He stayed in the chair, he fought the clown, and he lost a lot of energy. And that energy depletion led directly to the next crash. The sugar. Sugar. This is the predictable casualty of the pendulum war. When your mental energy is drained by fighting all those distractions, your brain screams for quick fuel.
And he says it pretty bluntly. I did not eat healthy today. I had a lot of sugar.
Okay, let's go back to the Behavior Ops Manual for a second. It lists 20 limiting beliefs about yourself. And right there on the list, clear as day, is the belief, I love sugar too much. And it's framed as a belief, not like a biological necessity. That's a really important shift in perspective.
It's a huge shift. It's a story we tell ourselves, oh, I need this little pick-me-up. I just have a sweet tooth. It's been such a hard day. I deserve a treat. But let's look at the Looper Option a Meal Plan. This document is strict. It's designed specifically for gut health and cortisol management.
What are the rules in there? What should Greg have been doing?
The big ones are no eating after dark, which is around 5:30 p.m. this time of year. Warm liquids are preferred over cold again. That's for digestion and energy conservation. And absolutely no sugar spikes.
Okay, so why is the sugar such a big deal in the context of transurfing? I mean, I get why it's bad for a diet or for insulin resistance, but why is it specifically bad for this awakening and for the metaphysics?
This is where the biology meets the metaphysics. This is a critical link. Transurfing requires energy, and not just, I feel awake, caffeine energy. It's what Zealand calls free energy, or the energy of intention. To shape your reality, to consciously choose your sector in the variant space, you need a surplus of this energy. You need a strong, clear broadcast signal. If you are exhausted and your body is in chaos, you just drift with whatever the current script is.
You're just a passenger.
You're a passenger. Sugar spikes and crashes create what's called excess potential in the body. They create chaotic, unstable energy. You can't steer the ship if the engine is misfiring and sputtering all day long.
So eating the sugar wasn't just him cheating on his diet. It was, in a very real sense, depleting the fuel source he needs for the awakening tomorrow.
Exactly. It weakens the signal. If your blood glucose is riding a roller coaster, your mental state is riding that same roller coaster. You become reactive. You become easier for pendulums to hook. It's a vicious cycle. Distraction leads to fatigue. Fatigue leads to a sugar craving. The sugar leads to a crash and even more distraction. The Daily Stoic on January 8th puts it even more bluntly. The entry is seeing our addictions. And Seneca writes, we must give up many things to which we are addicted. Otherwise, courage will vanish.
Courage will vanish. Wow, that is heavy. That directly connects eating a cookie to cowardice.
It is heavy, but think about it. If you can't say no to a cookie when you've decided that's the plan, how can you say no to a difficult client? How can you say no to a destructive pendulum that wants to steal your attention? How can you say no to the easy path when the hard path is the right one?
It's a courage issue.
It's a courage issue. It hampers what the Stoics call greatness of soul. You are training your sovereignty for a cheap dopamine hit. You are letting a substance dictate your state. And that is the absolute opposite of being the author of your own reality.
So there he is. Greg is standing there, sugar in the system, distracted, feeling a bit defeated by the weather. But then, and this is why I love this voice note so much, he pivots. He says, but tomorrow is day 1 of transurfing, so I'm excited to get started with that.
That right there, that is the day 10 principle from the transurfing curriculum. Relapse. Anxiety is excess potential. Dissipate it through action. He's acknowledging the stumble, but he's immediately looking forward to the correction.
He's not wallowing.
Not at all. He's not saying I'm a failure, I screwed up again. He's saying that was the old program running. The new program starts tomorrow.
So let's talk about day 1. The title in the curriculum is Awakening. It's set for February 10th. What does transurfing actually mean by awakening? Because, That's a pretty loaded term.
It is, and it's not necessarily spiritual enlightenment in the Buddhist sense, though there are definitely some parallels. In this context, it's about waking up within the dream. The central metaphor of all of transurfing is that reality acts like a dual mirror.
A dual mirror. Okay, walk us through that because this is probably the most technical and out there part of the transurfing manual.
Okay, so just imagine a mirror. On one side, the side we all live in, you have the physical material world. The stuff we can touch, the weather, the sugar, the office, the number in the bank account, the traffic.
Our reality.
Our perceived reality. But on the other side of the mirror, you have what Zealand calls the variance space.
The variance space.
And this is an infinite information field where all possible scripts of the future already exist. It's like a matrix of coordinates. Every possible version of Greg already exists there.
Every version.
Every version. There's a version where he ate the sugar today. There's a version where he worked out in the rain. There's a version where he's a multimillionaire digital mayor. There is a version where he is homeless. They all exist as pure potential, like different tracks on a record.
When the mirror, it reflects what exactly?
The mirror reflects your relationship to it. It reflects the image you project. But, and this is the trick, this is the absolute key insight Greg needs for day one. It reflects with a delay.
A delay. Okay, that explains so much.
Think of it like the light from a distant star. By the time you see it, it's already old news. When Greg looks at his bank account, or his body, or his current level of distraction, he is looking at a reflection of his past thoughts and actions. He's looking at the trail he left yesterday and last month. The mistake we all make is we try to change the reflection. We try to grab the mirror and shake it. We look at the low number in the bank account and we get stressed, which projects an image of stress and lack into the mirror, which then creates more stressful, lacking scenarios for us in the future.
It's like trying to comb your hair by touching the glass.
That's it. That's the perfect metaphor. You have to comb your actual hair. You have to change the image you are emitting right now. And the delay means you won't see the change instantly. The material world is viscous. It's like tar. It moves slowly. You have to hold the new image, the option A image, patiently while the reflection catches up.
So day one, awakening, is that moment of realization. Wait a minute. I'm not the reflection. I'm the one standing in front of the mirror. I'm the projector.
Yes. The specific task for day one is wake up, realize reality is a dream you can control. And the specific action attached to that realization is the 5.55 reset we already talked about, putting on the totem.
We touched on the totem earlier, but let's go a little deeper. Why do we need that physical object specifically in the context of the mirror?
It's an anchor. It's a trigger. In the chaos of the day, when the pendulums are pulling at you, when the clown is dancing in your face, you touch the ring or you adjust the glasses, and it snaps you back to the observer state. It reminds you, I am playing a role. I am the author of this script, not just a character in it. It's like the movie Inception. You need your totem to know that you're in control, to know you aren't just lost in the subconscious drift of the dream. When you touch the totem, you remind yourself, I am projecting the digital mayor right now, regardless of what the reflection looks like today.
There's another really crucial rule for day one in the text, the transurfing rule. Give yourself permission to be yourself and allow others to be different.
This is absolutely vital.
Why is that so important for Greg right now, on the eve of his awakening?
Because of the distraction and the guilt. When he gets frustrated with the distraction, he's not allowing the world to be what it is. He's fighting the current. When he beats himself up for eating the sugar, he's not allowing himself to be human.
Right.
This creates that excess potential, that tension. And tension distorts the mirror. Imagine a funhouse mirror. If you squeeze it or bend it, the image warps into a caricature. If you are tense and grasping and trying to force things, your reality warps.
So to fix the reflection, he has to literally stop strangling the mirror.
Exactly. Loosen the grip. You messed up today.
Oh!
Okay. That was the old script playing itself out. That was the echo of the past. Tomorrow is a new slide in the projector. You can't change the slide if you're obsessing over a tiny flaw in the current projection. You have to pivot your attention to the slide you want to show.
This transitions perfectly into the identity work. We've got this source material titled Future Greg in the Danco Blueprint. It talks about the alter ego.
Todd Herman's concept again. And you can see the roots of it in Maxwell Maltz's classic psycho-cybernetics. The core idea is simple but profound. You aren't where you want to be because you aren't yet the person who would be there.
Future Greg.
Future Greg isn't just current Greg, but with more money. Future Greg is a totally different operating system. Future Greg is disciplined. Future Greg respects his biology. Future Greg doesn't negotiate with the rain. Future Greg sees a cookie, and his immediate thought is, that's not fuel for my mission.
The Dan Coe material suggests an exercise called psychological excavation. It asks you to look at the life you hate, the anti-vision.
And this is such a powerful motivator. We often move away from pain much faster than we move toward pleasure. Greg needs to ask himself, and I mean, really sit down and visualize this in detail. What does life look like in 5 years if I keep skipping workouts when it rains? What does it look like if I keep spiking my blood sugar every single afternoon?
It paints a pretty grim picture. Lethargy, brain fog, missed business opportunities, being a background character in someone else's script instead of being the author of your own. The clown basically runs the show.
That's the anti-vision. It should be scary. It should provide the propulsion you need to get away from the status quo. But then you have the flip side, the vision MVP. What does an average Tuesday look like for future Greg?
Well, based on this curriculum, it looks like the digital mayor.
The digital mayor. This is the business identity that's laid out in the Looper documents. He's the leader of the Woodlands Loop.
And how does transurfing apply to something as practical as business? Because usually we think of business as, hustle, grind, force it to happen.
And that's what Zealand would call internal intention, trying to muscle the world into giving you what you want. It's exhausting. It's like trying to swim upstream against a strong current. Transurfing uses outer intention.
Okay.
The curriculum has this great line for day 45. The principle is, just go pick up the mail.
Just pick up the mail. That sounds way too easy.
It's a metaphor for certainty. When you order a package from Amazon, you don't pace around the house all day worrying if it exists. You don't try to manifest it with sweat and tears. You just know it's coming. And at the right time, you just go to the mailbox and get it. It means the clients, the revenue, the success, it's already there for him in the variant space. It's waiting. He doesn't have to fight the postman for it. He just has to align himself and go get it.
But you have to have the notification slip, right?
Yeah.
You have to be authorized to pick it up.
And the authorization is your frequency. It's the image you're projecting. If you are emitting desperation, I need this client, I need this money, the mirror just reflects lack. The mirror says, okay, you need it. Here is more needing.
Right.
But if you are emitting the frequency of the digital mayor, who is helpful, authoritative, calm, abundant, the mirror has no choice but to reflect that reality back to you. The mirror reflects who you are, not what you want.
So Greg's job isn't to get clients. It's to be the digital mayor.
Exactly. Future Greg is the identity that assumes the success is inevitable. And because he assumes it's inevitable, he does the work. Not to get the result, but because that's just what the digital mayor does. He does the deep work from 9.30 to 11.30 because that's his job, not because he's in a panic about next month's revenue. He writes the content, he makes the calls, he shakes the hands, coolly, calmly, like picking up the mail.
Okay, I want to talk about the immediate protocol. Because day one starts tomorrow morning, but the preparation for it has to start tonight.
Wow.
You can't just hope we wake up as a different person.
No, absolutely not. The 8.30 shutdown, this is in the Looper protocol. It's critical.
Greg's voice note came in late, so he might be listening to this right around that time. What does he need to do, right now?
A hard stop at 8:30 p.m. This is completely non-negotiable for Greg 3.1. Screens off, phone away.
Why is the screens off part so critical? I mean, we all know it's about sleep hygiene, but is there more to it?
There is. It is about sleep, specifically melatonin and dopamine. If you are scrolling social media at 10 p.m., the blue light is obviously suppressing melatonin, which ruins your sleep architecture. But more importantly, from a transurfing perspective, you are frying the dopamine receptors you need for tomorrow's focus. You are feeding the pendulums right before you go to bed. You're letting the world program your subconscious right as you're about to drift off into the variant space of dreams. You are literally going to sleep with the clown.
Wow. Okay, so 8:3 p.m. click, the world turns off. What's next?
And then the review, a very simple one. You write down one win from today, and Greg has one. Woke up before the alarm. Write that down. Don't let the brain filter it out and only focus on the negative. Validate the win.
Now, one thing for tomorrow, the micro goal.
Just one thing. Don't overload the RAM. What is the one thing that will make tomorrow a win? Maybe it's just execute the morning protocol perfectly. Maybe it's 0 sugar. Simple. Clear.
And then the supplements. The Looper text lists magnesium glycinate and NAC plus glycine powder.
The sleep stack. Magnesium glycinate is absolutely crucial for the nervous system. It helps calm that clown down. It activates GABA, which is like the brakes for your brain.
Okay.
And NAC, which is N-acetylcysteine, is great for scrubbing the system, especially after a sugar spike. It helps reset the biology so you don't wake up with a kind of sugar hangover. It supports glutathione production, which is the body's master antioxidant.
So the mantra here is, close the day cleanly so tomorrow starts light.
That's the mantra. If you carry the guilt of the sugar or the frustration from the distraction into bed with you, you are planting those seeds in the variant space. You'll just wake up in the same sector you went to sleep in. You have to sever the cord. Tonight is the partition. You are closing the book on Greg 3.0, or old Greg, and preparing a fresh cover for Greg 3.1.
It's the reboot.
It is the full reboot.
So let's synthesize all of this for Greg. He had a mixed bag of a day. It happens.
He did. But let's look at it through the transurfing lens now. Today was a relapse day, which is day 10 in the curriculum. And it showed him exactly where the pendulums are hiding. It showed him the clown of distraction. It showed him the weather excuse pendulum. It showed him the sugar trap pendulum.
So it wasn't a failure, it was a diagnostic test?
Exactly. The system stress tested itself and it found the weak points. That is incredibly valuable data. Now he knows. He knows he needs to drop importance on the distractions. He knows he needs to stick to the kindergarten rule when it comes to workouts. And he knows he needs to fiercely protect his energy from sugar.
And tomorrow is day 1, awakening.
February 10th, the start of the 78-day cycle. The goal is simple. Wake up at 5:55 a.m., put on that totem, and have that moment of realization, I am the author.
It's exciting. It really feels like the start of a movie.
It is, and I want to leave Greg with one final thought. This is from the Daily Stoic, January 17th. The entry is titled, Reboot the Real Work.
Okay, what's the quote?
What happened yesterday, what happened 5 minutes ago, is the past. We can reignite and restart whenever we like. Why not do it right now?
Why not right now?
The mirror is waiting, Greg. It's a neutral observer. It's just waiting for your smile. If you smile at it, if you consistently show it the image of future Greg, it has no choice but to reflect that back to you. It might take a delay, it might take all 78 days, but it's a law of physics.
The mirror is waiting. See you in the variant space, Greg.
See you there.